So we're going to continue with our session. I'm going to introduce to you the Lunchbox plugin in Grasshopper. It has very interesting features. So we have the structure here. So we're going to explore some of those and the panels. Also, you can, I'm going to give you an introduction and you can explore it more. So we're going to use the same elements we've been using before. So I'm going to use this rectangle. This is the final result that we will get. Basically, you can see here when we change this, the pattern will basically change. So we're going to work on this complexity, but we're going to build it up slowly. So let's focus on those. You can copy it from previous files. So it's a rectangle that we spoke about. I'm dealing with meters, 10 by 20. I have 4 curves. I'm going to do a loft, basically. So we're going to go back and basically do the same things that we have been doing, such as the loft, double-clicking, loft. And now we're going to choose the curve. So that's what we call importing parameters from Rhino. Okay, so we're gonna do set as multiple curves. I'm gonna choose them in order as we mentioned before. So now I'm gonna have the loft, and to have the loft, I have to basically connect it. So first thing I'm gonna try is to divide the surface into a structure, and the one I'm gonna use is the simplest one, which is the grid structure. So I'm gonna put the battery here. What is it asking me to connect it to a surface? And it's subdivided it already into grids and nodes, U and V. Let me type the number 30, for example. I'm gonna connect the same slider to both of them. You can have different U and V. So U and V, as we said in Rhino, it's X and Y. So here we can have as much as we want and as less as we want. So this one is really, really easy. Let's add some more complexity to it. So let's try and look at the panels and choose the triangular panels. So I'm going to turn this off, basically. And I'm going to connect this here to the loft. I don't know if you can see it already. I'm going to turn this off actually as well. So yeah, now you can see it properly. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another slider. I'm going to say 32 and connect it to the UMV. I can have less. I can have more as well. So that's the paneling it into triangles. Let's say I want to panel it into diamonds. So diamonds are, I hope everyone knows what are diamonds, but they are a square shape that have some angles. So I'm going to show you here. We connect them. Now the difference between them, you can see that with the triangles, if I turn this off and this on, you can see with the triangle you have this extra division, and that will make the surface less smoother, while with this one, with the diamond, it's a bit more smoother because you don't have that horizontal subdivision between the triangles. Okay. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back and just add some complexity to here. So let's say I want to choose some of those triangles, not all of them. So there is a function or a component in Grasshopper. It's called the function of it, what it does, it cancels some. So select every triangle, but it cancels some of that triangle. So it's called cull. And when you see cull, it means you can see the red X means canceling. So you can cancel a number. So let's say every 2 triangles, cancel 1 triangle, for example. So I can do something like this. I'll turn this off. Now I'm not controlling the number. As you know, that Grasshopper applies its own number if you don't put a slider. I'm gonna put a slider. So it set it up at 2. I'm gonna have 3, 4. So now it's choosing, it's canceling certain triangle every like 9 triangles, for example, or every 10. So if I take it back to 2, it's really interesting, this result. Or there's something, so this is kind of organized cancellation. If I wanna make it a bit random, just type random reduce, okay? So I'm gonna connect this here, and then I'm gonna connect the slider actually here. I'm turning this off. And actually, no, I'm gonna turn different slider because random, no, I have a bigger number actually here. So you can see the effect. So here it's reducing, let's say 200 triangles. If we have 500, for example, let's see here, if we put on the L, it says we have 1,558. So let's say we have a lot of numbers, so we can reduce, like it gave us, yeah, so I have 58 here, triangles faces. So let's say I want to cancel, I don't know, around 300, 200. So you'll have this. So you can go even with randomized or like organized cancellation. Let's say I'll focus on the organized cancellation. Okay. So now what I want to do, actually what I want to do is I want to go back to the triangle. What I'm going to do, I'm going to copy the elements that I want. So I want the curve on the left. I don't want the grid. So actually, I'm going to delete the grid because it will confuse you for later. I'm going to keep the triangle. And I'm going to turn all these off. So these are off. I don't want them. I'm going to keep this here. Put this on. So I just want a surface divided into panels. This one, I'm going to group it and bring it down, and it's turned off. So we can keep it for later if we want to use it. So here, what do I have? I have the curves, I have the loft, I have the panel. So I'm going to go back to a definition we did before where we had that point that works as an attractor. And I want to use those panels, triangle panels, and a point. So I'm going to add a point that will work as an attractor. I'm going to put my point here. I'm going to add a point in Grasshopper too. Okay, and I'm going to say set 1 point. Putting my point, you can see it's already with X, red X. And then what I'm going to do is actually what I'm going to do here, I'm going to do a group. I'm going to take this up, the diamond up, and the triangle. And I think I mean, you can't take any of them. I think the diamond will be more interesting. So I'm going to put this to view. I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to group them again. And yeah. So we have something similar to what we had before. So now what I need is the center of those faces. So before we had an area and we created the centers. We divided into shapes and we created the centers. So I don't know if you remember the function we used. We typed area and we connected it to the lofted surface. Then we've got those points. And then what we did to create those distance between them, we created a scale, if you remember. And the scale was connected to the same loft, to the centers of those areas, so the center of the scale, because you need the center to scale, and then to a slider number with a factor of the scale. I'm gonna just turn this off so you can see what we have here. So now, also I'm gonna turn this off actually. You can see we have all these diamond shapes, which are scaled. So I have those boundaries between the panels, and you have them scaled into the same proportion. Okay. Now, if you want to create something similar to this, we need to create we need to work with a different factor. So we need the scale, we need the area, but we don't need a slider number factor. Instead, what we need to do is to create distance between each center of those to this and then multiply it. So we've done this definition before. You can look it up, but I'm gonna actually do it here from scratch. I'm not gonna go back. So I'm gonna connect a distance. So this distance function, it measures the distance between this point, okay, and the area point, okay, which is here. So now here we have data in it. Now what we need to do is to connect it, multiply. So it could be with something else, but we will do it with multiply. And then here what we're gonna do is gonna put a factor number. So it could be as small as 0.1. And now notice when I connect this to the factor instead of this one. So I'm gonna disconnect this slider number and the factor scale. When I connect it here, did you notice the transition here immediately? So when I take this point and actually I move it around, you can see how this is being updated. So that's the beauty of Grasshopper, that you can explore so many scenarios using the same concept or the same process. If you wanna manually do that on Rhino, it will take you ages. Another thing you can do as well to visualize it better is to connect them with color swatch. You want to visualize it, just to remind you about something we explored earlier. So we need, as I said before, we need this to connect to both of them. Okay, and let me see if I change the color. I'm not gonna do it yet. Maybe blue. We already have blue. Maybe this color. Okay, accept. And then I'm moving this one here. Yeah. Also remember that there are numbers that we can play with. So here, actually, what I need to do is edit this slider and yeah, change this one to let me look at it again. 0.1. Yeah, definitely we can have a bit more here. So you can change it to a certain degree. I double click in the B. Actually, we don't need more than 1 or 2 maximum. But what else you can change? You can change here actually the scale. Sorry, not this one. Yeah, this one when you have it connected to the factor. But here, so what we can do is actually digits. Let me add more digits, like 3 digits. And then what I can do here, have 0.05, for example, to have them smaller. And then you can see here, now we have a bigger range that you can explore. Okay. So how beautiful is this definition? So please practice and bake the scenarios that you like and put them in a layer and have them next to each other, actually. Okay, so just recapping. So we did import the curves from Rhino. We lofted it. We lofted those curves. You have a surface. We divided it into diamonds. We created the centers of those diamonds. We calculated the distance between the point that is acting as an attractor and those centers. And we calculated the distance. We have data here. And then for the scaling, we connected that to the diamond. So we're scaling the diamond shapes. The centers of the scale is the center of the diamonds. And then the factor, it could be a number slider, or it could be multiplication between the distance and this number. And then we can also do a preview and change the color. Okay, so you can do this all in Rupert and just put a note saying analyzing with an attractor. You can put really any note you want, just for you to remember. As I mentioned, you can write scribble and just say definition. Sorry, where's the script? You can write double click on it and just write session 5, for example, B. So I'm calling it at least and make it bigger and then having it here so you know what is this. Okay, so practice and I'll see you for next session. Thank you so much.